In the Apothecary Diaries, one of the characters that ends up becoming a fan favorite character is a character called Shisui. Shisui is at first introduced to us when Mao Mao is chasing a kitten, and while she is failing to do so, this other girl ends up showing up and catching the kitten for her. We later on find out that this girl has a fondness for bugs and likes researching them. And on top of this, she ends up becoming a pretty close friend not just to Mao Mao but also to Xiaolan. It even goes to the point where she helps Xiaolan with giving middle rank consorts massages so she can build more connections, and once her terms of service is done in the rear palace, she can through them end up getting a job. We end up later on finding out that Shisui isn't who she says she is. She turns out to be a high-ranking consort by the name of Lolan, whose family is planning a rebellion against the Empire. And so she decides to play the villain for the sake of essentially turning in her own family, whilst also keeping the children from the family alive, as normally when a clan starts a rebellion, the Empire would exterminate the entire clan, including children. With her plan, she can essentially keep those children alive and allow them to still live a life despite what their parents ended up having done. And during this arc, we end up finding out a lot more about her. We end up finding out quite a bit about her abusive mother and her relation to her mother, as well as her sister and her sister's relation to her mother. You see, her mother was very abusive to the point where she would throw her stepdaughter and Lolan's half-sister into a torture chamber, and she would throw hot boiling water at Lolan if Lolan wasn't behaving the way she wanted. To her, Lolan was nothing but a pawn who could help her against the Empire, and so Lolan took action in her own hands and ended up aiding the Empire and exterminating the clan. When doing so, she ends up scarring Jinshi, which makes the Imperial Army shoot her. We end up finding out, however, later on that she survives though, but sadly we haven't seen her since, which is kind of a shame considering how much of a beloved character she is. She made up such a wonderful trio along with Xiaolan and Mao Mao, and it's such a shame that in the second season of the Apothecary Diaries, the three ended up having to split up, and it's a dynamic I actually really miss. If you want to find out more about what I have to say about Lolan as well as other characters in the Apothecary Diaries, I made a full long-form video about it on my YouTube channel, and if you're watching this on YouTube Shorts, you can just click on the related video and it'll take you there. But I'd love to hear what your opinions on Lolan are. With that said,